switch gears a bit and turn our attention now to the tensions in the Middle East. Israel launching another wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip as fighting settles into a second week, showing no signs of easing despite international calls for a ceasefire. Joining us now from Tel Aviv, Israel, contributing correspondent from Axios, Barak Ravid. Welcome to Wake Up America.
Good morning.
Now, Barak, it's good to see you again. What's the latest on the ground in Tel Aviv today?
Well, actually, I got to tell you that at least this morning here in Tel Aviv and in Gaza, things were, I don't want to say more calm because it might be overstating the situation, but there was this feeling of a bit of a de-escalation, okay? Very, very slight de-escalation. There were several hours in which there was no Israeli airstrikes and no missiles from Gaza. Even the areas crossing from Israel to Gaza in the northern Gaza Strip was opened for an hour for movement of foreign diplomats. But just several minutes ago, the fighting resumed with mortar bombs and missiles from Gaza and Israeli airstrikes. But the feeling is that, again, as we spoke about it yesterday, the wheels are in motion, and we are now in the countdown towards the ceasefire. I think the phone call yesterday between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu was the main piece of evidence that we're headed towards a ceasefire.
Yes, and to elaborate a little bit more on that, we do know here in the U.S., President Biden did express support for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas when he did have that call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just yesterday. But the president did stop short of demanding an immediate stop to the violence. Barak, what kind of influence does that have?
I think, by the way, you're right that in the public statement, the way it was articulated was, let's say, very subtle. Okay, that Biden supports a ceasefire and not demanding a ceasefire. But I think that in private, I know, in private, the messages both that Biden gave Netanyahu and Tony Blinken, Secretary of State, to his Israeli counterpart, the messages in private were much clearer. I think that both Biden and Blinken made it clear that, they supported Israel for 9 days, stopped 3 UN Security Council statements on ceasefire, but now the international pressures and the domestic pressures from within the Democratic Party are making it much, much harder for them to continue to push back and give Israel a full backing. And their message was basically, start moving out of this operation.
No, that's an interesting and important distinction, so thank you for that. We also know that a spokesperson for the United Nations is raising concerns about the displacement of Palestinians. Let's take a listen to that.
We continue to receive reports of significant displacement of Palestinians, with over 38,000 internally displaced people seeking protection in 48 schools run by UNRWA across the Gaza Strip. Over 2,500 people have been made homeless due to the destruction of their homes.
Barak, for people unclear of the severity of that, explain it a little bit, and how alarming are these reports?
Well, I think the humanitarian situation in Gaza on a normal day, not in a war, on a normal day, humanitarian situation in Gaza is very bad. So just imagine what it means when this is all happening in the midst of a war. Right now in Gaza, there's very few hours of electricity. I think that last night some fuel entered into Gaza for the power plant, but I think we're talking about 3 or 4 hours of electricity a day. The hospitals are jammed. There's shortages of food in some places. There's displacement of tens of thousands of people. And I think that there are ruins everywhere. So I think that this is another reason why I hear from more and more Israeli officials who are saying, we'll do it for another 24 hours, 48 hours, but then we need to get out.
Now, Barak, in addition to everything you're describing there, all of the troubling and concerning conditions, we know roughly 200 Palestinians, including 92 women and children, have been killed in this unrest. Some experts really arguing if these are war crimes. Would you agree that they are? And if so, who would be held accountable?
Look, I think in the last 15 years, Israel and Hamas had, I think, 3 wars in Gaza and numerous rounds of clashes and escalations when it is clear that both sides hit civilians. The Israeli government claims that while Hamas intentionally targets civilians, the Israeli military only hit civilians by accident. But when you look at it, the reality and the numbers, at the end of the day, if you go for a war in Gaza and you engage in airstrikes in Gaza, it is unrealistic to think that you would really be able not to hit civilians. Gaza is a very small place, very dense place. And I think that if you look at the first few days of this operation, the ratio of uninvolved civilians, innocent civilians, and let's say militants who were killed, it was more or less 1 of every 4 was a civilian. Right now, 8-9 days into the operation, it's 50-50, which basically means that the targets Israel hit in the first few days were very clearly military targets. And along those days, when you run out of targets and you need to start finding new targets, you hit civilians. And I think that this is yet another reason why it is clear to more and more people that every day this operation continues, the gains Israel can get are very low, if any, and the damages can be huge.
Catastrophic for sure. Barak Ravid, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for joining us and for your insight as always.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.